Hello everyone, and welcome back to the podcast. Today, we're going to talk about something that almost all of us feel at some point in life, the strange, confusing experience of becoming an adult without really knowing how. Let me start with a simple question. Have you ever thought, I should know how to do this by now? Maybe it was about money, relationships, work, or even something simple like cooking or managing your time. You look around and think everyone else has figured it out. But the truth is, many people feel exactly the same way. So why does this happen? Why does nobody really teach us how to be an adult? When we are young, our lives are very structured. We go to school, we follow schedules, and we are told what to do. There are clear rules. Study for the test. Do your homework. Be on time. If you follow the rules, you succeed. It feels simple, even if it's not always easy. But then, something changes. One day, you finish school. Maybe you graduate from university, or you start your first full-time job. And suddenly, the structure disappears. There is no one telling you exactly what to do anymore. You have freedom, but also responsibility. And that's where things get difficult. Because being an adult is not just about paying bills or going to work. It's about making decisions all the time. Big decisions, small decisions, emotional decisions, financial decisions. And nobody really explains how to make those decisions well. For example, let's talk about money. In school, most of us don't learn how to manage money in real life. We might learn some math, maybe even some basic economics, but no one sits us down and says, this is how you budget, this is how you save, this is how you avoid debt. So what happens? People learn by making mistakes. They spend too much. They don't save enough. They feel stressed and confused. And then they think, why didn't anyone teach me this? The same thing happens with relationships. We grow up watching movies, reading stories, and listening to songs about love and friendship. But real relationships are much more complicated. They require communication, patience, honesty, and sometimes difficult conversations. But where do we learn these skills? Most of the time, we don't. We just try, fail, learn a little, and try again. It can feel messy and emotional. And again, we think, why is this so hard? Shouldn't I know how to do this? Then there's the topic of work. Many people believe that once they find the right job, everything will be fine. But in reality, work is not only about skills. It's also about managing stress, dealing with other people, setting boundaries, and understanding your own goals. And here's something important, there is no single correct path. When you're in school, there's usually one right answer. But in adult life, there are many possible answers. And sometimes, you don't know if your choice is good or bad until much later. That uncertainty can be uncomfortable. So, why doesn't anyone teach us these things earlier? One reason is that life is complex. There isn't one simple guide that works for everyone. People have different values, different cultures, different experiences. What works for one person might not work for another. Another reason is that many adults are still learning themselves. Think about your parents, teachers, or older colleagues. When you were younger, they probably seemed very confident. Like they knew everything. But now, as you grow older, you may start to see that they are also figuring things out. Adulthood is not a moment when you suddenly understand everything. It's a process. A long, ongoing process. And that leads us to an important idea, maybe nobody teaches you how to be an adult because being an adult is something you learn by living. You learn by trying, by making mistakes, by reflecting, and by growing. Now, I know what you might be thinking. That sounds nice, but also a little stressful. Because mistakes can be uncomfortable. Sometimes even painful. But mistakes are also very powerful teachers. Let's say you make a bad financial decision. Maybe you spend too much money on something you didn't really need. It feels bad at first. But if you reflect on it, you can learn something important about your habits and priorities. Or maybe you have a conflict with a friend or a partner. It's difficult, maybe emotional. But it can teach you how to communicate better next time. Each experience adds something to your understanding of life. Another important part of adulthood is self-awareness. This means understanding yourself. Your strengths, your weaknesses, your values, and your needs. For example, do you know what kind of work environment makes you feel comfortable? Do you prefer structure or flexibility? Do you like working alone or with others? These are not things you can learn only from books. You learn them by experiencing different situations. And here's something that might surprise you: it's okay not to have everything figured out. In fact, most people don't. Social media can create the illusion that everyone else has a perfect life. A great job, a happy relationship, financial stability. But what we see online is usually only a small part of reality. Behind the scenes, people are dealing with challenges, doubts, and uncertainties, just like you. So if you feel confused sometimes, you're not alone. You're actually having a very normal human experience. Now, let's talk about something practical. If nobody teaches you how to be an adult, what can you do? First, be curious. Ask questions. Read books. Listen to podcasts. Talk to people. Learn from different sources. You don't need to wait for someone to teach you everything. You can take an active role in your own learning. Second, accept that learning takes time. You won't become confident in every area of life immediately. Some skills take years to develop. That's normal. Third, build small habits. Adulthood is not only about big decisions. It's also about daily actions. Simple habits like saving a small amount of money regularly, planning your week, or taking care of your health can make a big difference over time. Fourth, learn to manage your emotions. Life can be stressful. There will be moments of uncertainty, disappointment, and frustration. Learning how to stay calm, reflect, and respond instead of reacting is a key skill. And finally, be kind to yourself. It's easy to be critical and think, I should be better, I should know more, I should be more successful. But that kind of thinking can create unnecessary pressure. Instead, try to recognize your progress. Even small progress is important. Let me share one more idea before we finish. Maybe the goal is not to become a perfect adult. Because what does that even mean? Instead, maybe the goal is to become a more aware, responsible, and flexible person. Someone who can adapt, learn, and grow over time. Someone who understands that life is not always clear but still moves forward anyway. So the next time you feel like you don't know what you're doing, remember this: that feeling is part of the journey. Nobody really has a complete manual for adulthood. We are all learning, step by step. And that's okay. Thank you for listening today. I hope this episode made you feel a little less alone and a little more confident in your own path. See you next time.